This is K-12 Tech Talk. K-12 Tech Talk. The podcast by K-12 Techs for K-12 Techs. Real conversations, real arguments, and real banter on trending K-12 technology topics and issues.
Live from the NTP studios, this is the K-12 Tech Talk podcast. I am Josh, little under the weather tonight, but I am not COVID positive. With me, as always, is Chris.
Hello?
And Mark.
Hello.
Who I believe Mark gave me this plague of whatever it is I have, but we'll just leave it there.
Sure did.
Did you guys drink after each other?
Oh, yeah, that plus other things. So NTP, they are our studio sponsor for the next good while. Talked to David today on the phone. David was telling me about his vacation cabin. I didn't know he had a vacation cabin.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't know if that was like a, hey, come use my vacation cabin. You know, you can do the podcast from there. But it sounds like he's got a pretty cool place down on Table Rock Lake. So yeah, it was good to talk to David. Apparently you guys are reaching out to him, and by you guys I don't mean Chris and Mark, because why would they? I mean listeners are contacting David has been absolutely astonished with the number of people that are contacting him about SOC as a service and the SentinelOne product line. So what NTP can do for you is they can sell you SentinelOne's top tier product. And not only that, but they can be your SOC as a service. So they can manage the SentinelOne installation. They can watch logs from mirrored port traffic that's destined for your firewall bound for the outside. They can also watch your Active Directory logs. They can watch your firewall logs. So that SOC as a service is all of that and SentinelOne. And I guarantee if you're up for renewal with, you know, if it's Crowd Slaps or not Crowd Slaps, Group Slaps or Cold Dog or another product like that David could probably save you money. I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's under $50 a month per client. And I'm sorry, $50 a year per client. And when I say $50, I don't mean $49.99. If you're from St. Louis, you'll get that reference. So yeah, reach out to David. His email address, dren, WREN, at ntp-inc. And I apologize for the nasally voice in that ad.
Yeah, you sound bad. Do you like Emo's Pizza, Josh?
I have not liked Emo's Pizza since something changed. Back when trans fats became bad and it was hip to remove trans fats, something changed with their recipe, and I have not liked it since.
Mark, you ever had Emo's Pizza?
I don't know how we got to this. Is this related to NTP? What is it?
St. Louis.
St. Louis Pizza.
Oh, okay.
You ever had? How do you cut up your bagel? Just in half?
Yeah. No.
Not like bread slices?
No, Mark. Bread slice, it'll change your world.
You guys have Panera over that way, Mark?
We sure do.
Well, it's actually called St. Louis Bread Co. We the OGs.
Yeah. Okay. When you the next time you go into Panera, Mark, tomorrow on the way to the office,
write this down.
Buy your people bagels. I guarantee they need bagels. And ask for the bagels to be bread sliced, not bagel sliced. It will change your world.
It will.
Bread sliced bagels, cream cheese, absolutely. Do it.
Okay.
All right.
And listen to Nelly.
And listen to Nelly while you're eating bread sliced bagels. Yes.
Got it.
Drinking a Budweiser. But that's only after hours. There's no cannabis. I can't think of any other herbal things from St. Louis. So I have a quick story. Let me get my quick story out of the way before I have to cough or something.
Please.
So yesterday I legit was sick yesterday. I had to go home.
Start the timer, Mark.
Shut up. You know what? I never take a sick day. I took a half sick day yesterday. I never take a sick day. I'm home. I end up falling asleep on the couch. And I wake up and I have text messages from my guys. So a teacher had gotten smished. And it was someone pretending to be our superintendent asking for gift cards. So I emailed this teacher and said, hey, I'd like some screenshots. I want to see the phone number, blah, 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 blah. So she sends it all to me, and then at the end of the email, she sends it to me. She says, "You know what?" She goes, "I have to admit, I thought this was you trying to get me because we do phishing tests." She said, "I was really mad at you for a little bit." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, it's not the first time someone's been mad at me for doing something like that, but that wasn't me." So yeah, that was kind of funny.
I feel like you're really hip with the smishing.
Yeah.
Hip with the smishing.
Yeah, like that's like saying like no cap and stuff.
No, it's not. I don't even know what no cap means. Mark, do you know what no cap means?
Sure do.
Oh, whatever.
No cap.
Okay.
All right, Mark, get us some news.
Josh, do you want to actually define smishing? Because I feel like that's an important step here.
Oh, sure. SMS phishing. So it was
Yeah.
someone that was receiving text messages. You didn't think I used the word right, did you, Mark?
No, I knew you did. I just thought, it's a phrase that you don't hear too often.
So yeah, SMS phishing. It was text messages that a teacher was receiving on her personal cell phone that appeared to be from our superintendent, and they were not.
No cap.
No cap.
Get on up here, newsboy Mark.
I'll put my cap on here.
Well, you were ready for that. A St.
Oh,
Louis
no.
Blues cap.
Oh yeah. The game starts in like 23 minutes. You guys better hurry up. Mark's in the
All right,
newsroom.
all right.
If you're watching our YouTube stream, you can see Mark in the newsroom right now.
It's
Nice.
nice.
It's
Good
been
job,
redone.
Mark.
They redid it for Christmas.
Let's start with some cybersecurity. So
Is this K-12 cybersecurity or just cybersecurity?
K-12 cybersecurity.
Okay, improvement.
I know. I'm getting better. I know last week was rough. But okay. Going back to last week, I told a long story if you didn't listen. But please tell me you retold that story to somebody.
No.
I did.
Yeah. I got Chris. Josh, no cap.
I did.
All right. There's always a story about every week, either a school district or a company getting hit. This week it was a company. There's a company called Raptor Technologies. Now, do you guys, well, I guess I shouldn't ask if you use Raptor Technologies from what I'm about to say, but Raptor Technologies is a company that does sort of school visitor emergency planning software. I'm not too familiar with them, but I definitely have heard of like Raptor visitor management type tools. So they're in that area. Well, they had a large amount of files stored on a server that was unfortunately publicly accessible. Now they found out about this when somebody reached out to them. I may have even been a reporter had reached out to them and said, "Hey, I found these files. You need to do something about it." So it's kind of a tough one. They know that these files were exposed publicly on the internet. They don't have any evidence, though, that it was a breach. So good news is that it was not necessarily a breach or an attack, and there's no evidence that this information was stolen or used inappropriately. However, the bad news is it's almost worse that it was the fault of the company who just kind of mismanaged their files and put it on a publicly accessible location.
Yeah,
So-
and there's an article in Wired. I sent you guys the link over text a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Kind of getting into what it was, AWS buckets, I think, that were exposed.
Yeah. So in that exposure was obviously some personal information, some sensitive information, but also really sensitive emergency planning documents. So evacuation plans, floor plans, medical documents, details of students who pose a threat on campus. The really
Ugh.
sensitive stuff that you definitely do not want to have out on the street. So not a very, very good breach to be notified about. And unfortunately, more than 4 million school records were included.
Yeah, we use Raptor, but we only use it for visitor management. We don't do any student profiling or anything. The interesting thing, we got that email from Raptor yesterday, and they said they would send a second email if our data was some of the data that was exposed. And to my knowledge, we have not received that. Look, I'm wearing my cap now, so you can stop saying
I like that.
no cap.
It's good.
On
It's a
K-12
news
Tech
cap.
Pro, somebody posted a copy of the letter, and I think it's worth saying, so I'm going to say it. If you have questions or concerns, if you use Raptor, they say email raptorsecurityinfo@raptortech.com.
All right. Now, the next two articles are more around kind of social media and children's protection online. So, not too related to K-12, but we all deal with social media, with Facebook, Instagram, all those kinds of things. Facebook came out with an update this week that says they're going to make some changes to their platform. Moving forward, this is a new feature that's going to be coming out pretty soon. If a student posts something negative related to self-harm, suicide, nudity, or eating disorders, that post will not be shown to other users under the age of 18. So those posts will be suppressed from their feeds, which I think is great. The thing that I was thinking about though is, at least, in my experience, oftentimes when a student is expressing any sort of self-harm or suicidal thoughts, it's often friends, their peers who are the ones to alert. So, in my head, I'm kind of thinking, this is a hard one to see, that a student could be posting a call for help, and actually that post is not being seen or shown to anybody. So I think I'm really curious to see how this is done in a way that will continue to keep the kids safe, even if you're suppressing this from other kids.
Yeah, because they're not saying like, and because we're suppressing it, this is the next thing we're doing to make sure that someone is aware of that.
Right. I mean, in theory, if you know the student's location, you know that their age, you know that there's self-harm, there should be some sort of alerting mechanisms. But if you're Meta, that's a big job, and that's a big liability as well. So, the reason why this one is relevant to K-12, I know you guys are going to push me on this one, though, is that Meta is also facing lawsuits, not just from states, but also school districts. Even Seattle Public Schools is suing Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, saying that they're ignoring the negative impact of their platforms on children's mental health.
Get them.
Yeah, get them, but it's going to be interesting to see that play out. It's great they're doing that, but it'll be interesting.
And then the last bit of news for the week, this one just came out a few weeks ago, and they're starting to see more and more details. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, is proposing changes to, and I know you're going to correct me when I say this, but COPPA, or COPPA.
Copacabana.
COPPA, which is the Children's Online Privacy Protection Rule.
I say COPPA.
COPPA?
I say COPPA too.
And they are putting in, now COPPA really adheres to companies, right? Even Meta and those folks who are targeting or holding data of children on the age of 18. There are some changes, though, that are relevant to schools. A couple of things that I'll just kind of highlight really quickly, though, is around nudging, limits on nudging kids to stay online. Like, you think of, if you're on a news feed, the infinite scroll that keeps kids going. There's prohibition on there's conditioning a child's participation in the collection of online information or personal information. But related to schools, and let me actually get to this, and this is something that I never thought that they would have to put in this rule, but they are now prohibiting commercial use of children's information when that information has been collected from a school. So schools, as you're authorizing ed tech companies, and let me just take a step back here. If you're a child using an online website, you have to have your parents' permission. Now, if you're in a school, the school can give permission to that company for the data. So that's why, you have all these different online products. You're the authorizer to allow that company to have it. Schools are no longer allowed to authorize, under the new rules, no longer allowed to authorize ed tech providers to collect, use, and disclose students' personal information outside of these school authorized educational purposes. In other words, you cannot authorize a company to use student data to advertise or for commercial purposes.
I love it. Love the idea of it. The enforcement and the management of that is going to be a nightmare from a school standpoint. Mark, again, we come into this discussion of big school, small school kind of discussion. I know for me, I'm the guy that has to vet those applications and those requests for plugins and stuff like that. since Google did the whole third party thing, that process has gotten amazingly better because you don't have teachers running out and having their kids do whatever just willy nilly. Like those
Yeah.
are all denied until you approve them now. But even still, I guess this really comes into play even more with DPAs. Like your DPAs now are going to actually have teeth, I guess, is the better way.
I don't know if it's interesting. I don't think this will actually impact schools and districts. I actually think it's really just going to impact the companies. My guess is that they're burying these clauses in their terms of service and saying, well, you've authorized us to use the service, to use the student's data, so we're going to use it for commercial purposes. I think this rule would change the providers.
Yeah. I mean, it COPA only affects the provider, but still that whole process, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see it shake out. I don't know.
Yeah, I would hope that I don't have to worry about some of those DPAs because it's already in with the company. Instead of me fighting the company to add sentences, this is going to twist their arm a little bit that they're already providing the right sentences.
But can the company still claim ignorance that the kid's under the age of 13? Like that's where,
Sure.
if there's not an age verification process, how are they going to know how old the kid is?
I mean, I think as a K-12 organization, it should be black and white, where you're just going to assume that everybody's under the age of 18, and you're collecting the data for that student. But I don't know.
Yeah, but
It'll be interesting.
There's websites that are not educationally focused that have COPA statements in their terms of service.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to be, I'm all for it, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. There's one other thing too. I'm personally more thrilled about this one of all the changes in here. There's a prohibition on collecting more information, more personal information that is reasonably necessary for the child to participate in a game. So in other words, if a child is going to be participating in an online game, and it's like, oh, if you enter this information about yourself or you enter your zip code, that has nothing to do with the game. There is not any sort of value to that, or there's nothing that's going to change the nature of that game. It's prohibiting a company from doing that, from collecting data in order to kind of boost their revenue or their sales. So I think this is a great step. I do think, though, that in the United States we have a very long ways to go in terms of protecting student data, but I think it's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree. It's not GDPR, but I like you said, it's a step in the right direction. Another piece of news: if you're running a FortiGate or anything FortiOS or FortiProxy, there is a new HA vulnerability. You need to update if you're running 7.2 code. You need to update as soon as possible. Mark, any other news?
I'm out of the news.
All right.
And by the way, Fortinet is a proud sponsor of the K-12 Tech Talk podcast. You can email Chris Illingworth at fortinetpodcast@fortinet.com.
I was going to mention the nifty screens behind Mark. I don't think those are Rise Vision screens, but Rise Vision, if you're interested in doing digital signage in your schools, Rise Vision can help you out with that. And since Google was silly again and got rid of Google Sign Builder, I think Rise Vision is even more apropos to school districts right now. Chris, how can we find out more about Rise Vision?
Yeah, Google Sign Builder, by the way, like we have used that for years. It's like, I mean, Google's done with it, but it's still working. It's got not very much time left before it's going to kick the can. Kick the can. Is it going to kick a can? Keel over? What's the word? What's the phrase? It doesn't matter.
Kick the bucket.
Kick the bucket. That's what I was looking for.
Kick the can is that's our family game. You ever play Kick the Can?
What?
No, Mark. Josh plays Spin the Bottle.
I wasn't born in the 1920s, Mark.
Anyway, Rise Vision. Think about your TVs, several TVs throughout your building. Just think through this scenario. We're used to putting up quick announcements, what's for lunch, that kind of thing. But Rise Vision can help you put out emergency notifications. So you're doing tornado drill or there is a tornado, they can pump that out to that TV quickly. They can show emergency preparedness, like your safety plans. They can show hazard awareness. This bathroom's closed, blah, blah, blah. They can show incoming weather, even if you want your staff to be looking at occupational health stuff. When was the last incident? Maybe of a custodian tripping on a water bucket, whatever. I don't know. They can help out with that stuff through the TVs as well. They have a lot of great templates that you can use to get you up and running. So check out Rise Vision.
Yeah, in Missouri, they're just called NATOs. They're not, or NATOs. They're not called
Naders.
NATOs. They're not called tornadoes. We don't pronounce the whole thing in Missouri. And if you have to have a hazardous sign out because a bathroom is shut down,
That was my idea.
that's a serious bathroom issue.
Hey, I got a question for you. I'm going to go off script a little bit here.
Uh-oh.
But something you said here around displaying emergency notifications on TVs and displays. I was in a meeting this morning about we have a new building going up, opening up this summer, and the architects were describing how emergency notifications are not going to be done through the PA anymore in this new building. How do you guys handle? I mean, you're in Nader country, so how do you handle emergency notifications across your campuses?
I hate to say it, but through the PA.
Oh, that's how we do it.
We do not use PA like we used to. We have an app that faculty staff have on their personal cell phones if they choose to opt in, as well as a program on all of our Windows computers that sounds off a loud alarm through all of our computer speakers. And between those two things and they grab the PA, that's how we get the word out to our faculty, staff, and students.
That application is not a sponsor of the show, but isn't that application free or was free at one time?
Yeah, I think we could say
Yeah,
it.
I mean, it's free.
It's Crisis Go, and they do have a paid version that does more bells and whistles, like what's that word when you get all the kids back together, reunification.
Yeah.
It can sync with your rosters, that kind of stuff. But we just use the free version. You navigate through the tricky part of you're asking faculty staff to put something on their phones, but this is a safety thing. People, for the most part, want to be involved in safety. So our school district hasn't had pushback on that request. PA still used, but the computers all go nuts when that alarm goes off. And it lets you, person can be out in the middle of the football field when they see the tornado coming and go ahead and push the button on their cell phone, and then it's going to everywhere. Or gym teacher that doesn't have access to whatever easily to get to it, her cell phone goes off or the computer goes off. Those hard to reach places that might not have easy access to a PA. It's really helped that out.
Why don't you give the gym teacher a computer?
We do. But they're throwing the dodgeball, and we're like, hey, can you not hold the laptop while you're throwing a dodgeball?
Yeah.
That was our conversation this morning. So we're on this building meeting with all the different safety folks and school police and architects. And somebody brought up, like, well, how loud is the PA system? Because if they're in gym and they go into lockdown mode, and the architect said, no, they're not using the PA. There will be these amber strobe lights and like an LED screen that says safe mode in your classroom. Yeah. And so everybody's kind of like, well, wait a minute, we're not used to this. This is something new here.
That's sweet.
And they said this is actually, it's better because it's connected to the fire alarm system, which is inspected 3-4 times a year. So he's like, you don't have the risk of your emergency notification system going the way of software updates being missed on your PA system or your network going down. So they were preferring that it be a fire alarm system, so we actually have the fire department checking on it.
That makes sense, because there's been a couple discussions that I've been a part of lately that the discussion has revolved around new PA systems being IP based speakers and call buttons. If your network does go down, you lose power, like bad storm comes through and there is a tornado in it, you lose power. Are you losing part of your intercom system when that happens? And if it is that your emergency communication part too? I actually really like that idea, Mark, especially if it's segregated off. Fire alarms typically are on all of their own wiring, all kinds of stuff. That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
will.
Like your tornadoes are coming and you're staying in the server room to make sure the network stays up.
You
Like
laugh.
you're holding the cable together.
You laugh at a former job. We had all these emergency operation things, and one of them was Code Black, and I think that was Tornado. And our responsibility was to go to the server room and keep things operational in a Code Black.
What would
I
you do? What are you doing there?
stare at the lights. Are they still blinking? Are we still alive?
Actually, it was
I gave pushback on like, hey, let's ditch the PA altogether. Like, I think the thing should be layered. Like, can we still use the PA, but can we also use the cell phone? Can we also use the Windows computer stuff? I think if you're adding in TVs and what you're talking about, Mark, like add some more layers and hopefully it can be automated. Because we run into as well then. So you put a substitute teacher, and this is going to play out anyway, to some degree when something bad is happening and you have substitute teachers. They don't know the protocol, they don't know the procedure, maybe as well as what the regular teachers are. But in the case of like the Windows computer, like there's pieces with this that you have to sign in. So you have to navigate through, again, additional training with the sub. But again, it's so loud. Every computer's going off with this noise. I think it's going to be okay, but it's me getting old. I still like PA.
Yeah.
I don't like the reliance, like we're talking about, the reliance on technology, on networking to be up.
Yeah.
In the case of something bad going down.
just send a kid up and down the hall yelling, "There's a tornado coming! There's a tornado coming!"
Then it'd be a nice phone call from that kid's parent. Why did you make my child run down the hallways and yelling instead of locking down?
In Missouri, it's a regular thing. Like that's a duty, a classroom duty that is assigned with privilege
really?
and honor.
Yeah, like when you walk, everybody, like it's at the beginning of the year, they have everybody come in and like it's similar like when you jump on a plane, Mark, and you're sitting by the side seat.
Yeah.
Like, will you be the person? Every teacher will ask one student, will you be the runner?
Really?
No.
We call them tornado runners.
No, it's not real, Mark.
Sorry, tornadoes are just so foreign to me, so I can't.
Will you run for us?
Earthquakes. We do it for earthquakes too.
We call them Quakers.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
No, that's a religion, Chris. You can't do that.
All right.
I don't know.
All right. Well, let's move on to listener emails. Since I already stole the listener email story, that was my smishing story. I have another story, and I'm going to wrap myself out on this story. So the other day, I guess it was Monday, we've had an school intranet page that our staff devices are supposed to point to that kind of houses internal news. Mark, you probably have that, right?
Sure do.
So it has been set as the homepage and the default startup page for a year and a half or so. One of the things that I had not been able to get working was on new tab, when someone hits a new tab, for it to open. And I haven't really put a whole lot of thought into it. Well, Monday, I was chasing a different problem. I'm like, oh, look, this setting probably would fix the new tab problem. So I changed this one setting. And sure enough, the dam breaks. And now whenever you hit new tab, the intranet page shows up. You would have thought I was kicking small animals and yelling at small children by doing that. That we received a number of calls and tickets, very upset that the new tab page had changed because they couldn't get to Google. They didn't know how to Google search. So my question to you gentlemen is, well, Mark, I don't know if Chris has an internet page. Do you, on your new tab, do you have it set to new tab? Or
Yes.
are you an animal like me and set it to your internet page?
You're a monster.
Right.
If you're gonna mess with my new tab page,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have some words for you.
Yeah, I figured. Well, you
No.
are a
Why I'm not okay. You have a page that's internal.
Yeah.
And that's your homepage
Yes.
for your faculty and staff.
Yes.
For students too, or just
No,
faculty staff?
faculty staff.
And on that page are district resources or news or what?
Yes, both.
And this is in Chrome.
Yes.
And then when they click just to open a new tab, generally speaking,
Before Tuesday, it was the Google Chrome new tab. Here's the
Yes.
last 6 pages you went to. Here's a page that you go to a lot. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
And now it's what?
now it's that intranet page.
It's Josh's personal family photo album that he accidentally.
My
pushed
pictures
out
from
to.
Alaska. I did put a couple pictures from Alaska up there.
Did you really?
No.
Did you
Oh.
mean to do that, or
Yes.
it was an accident?
No. I meant to do it a year ago and couldn't get the damn setting to work right. It just happened that I found another setting Monday that fixed it.
Or broke it?
Well, fixed it.
I'm clicking to see what in the world you're talking. Why and okay, why do
So-
you want to do that?
So, the rationale behind this is we have a very big problem of computers not getting rebooted. Like right now, if I ran an uptime report, I would find probably close to 100 machines or more that have been up for 60 days or more. Okay? So the only time before Monday when I made this setting change, the only time when when a faculty member saw that intranet page is the very first time they launched Chrome on that machine. So if that machine's been up 60 days and Chrome has been open, they've seen it once in 60 days.
Mhm.
So now by doing a new tab, how many times throughout the day do you load a new tab? Now you're going to see current information and resources.
Yeah, I understand, I think.
I know I'm a monster, but
I'm trying to find, is it under Chrome settings? Is it a user and browser setting?
yeah, it's a user setting, group policy, Google Chrome, Chrome
This
setting, and
is
then startup and homepage settings. I believe.
definitely, Chris, something you should play with right now.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
Chris, I
yeah,
didn't.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay. So as calls started coming in and people were complaining, I don't know how to get to mail and I don't know how to get to drive. I pushed out district favorites and I put
Oh boy.
mail and drive and infinite campus into those district favorites, which then if
I
people
hate
already
that
had
stuff.
if people already had favorites, it pushed some of their favorites off the screen, which was another I'm a
Mm.
monster.
You
scenario.
have I'm not with you need to revert that and apologize.
No, not happening. And that's
Wait,
from
you
a,
haven't you didn't revert the change?
no. Well,
Oh,
we'll talk about
Oh.
that. We can talk about that after the show. We'll
oh,
talk
Wow.
about that after the show.
Wow.
yeah. Things are different out in Missouri.
I was ready to fall on my sword this morning and was told
Up-
not to. So
Up in New England, it is my browser, my choice. We don't mess with other browsers. Woo.
You don't? Do you
Okay.
even set home pages?
No, my browser, my choice. We're not
Serious?
gonna-
So how do you
Yeah.
get people to go to your intranet page?
click the bookmarks?
But can okay.
Well,
what is
for
what is so
kids-
special on that page?
It's our PR person posts content there. Like we have, I'm not going to get into it. There's internal communications on that page.
Yep.
Like
And
I
you don't
guarantee,
want to treat your faculty staff as if they have maturity level to go out of our way to read this information like they're supposed to.
the more ways
So you're
they are
spoon feeding it to them.
the more ways they are presented with information, the better.
I hear you a little bit, but
Yeah.
you're on an island.
I probably am, but there's at least one other person with me, so I am feeling okay.
I was just
Cool.
looking. I force our homepage, and then I force as the second thing. I force the Google.
So just
I
force-
open up 2 tabs.
Sure.
Every
Yeah,
So
Chris,
just
try it out
change-
right now.
Yep, change your new
But-
tab screen.
But don't do it in the staff OU. Like do it like the very, very
Top
top,
level.
like where there's
and the
no
and the kids I force clever as the third. I think something like
Yeah.
that.
we push out clever. But yeah, Chris, do it in the top level one where there's
I
no
s-
accounts.
I'm clicking. I could do it right now.
Well, that way,
Yeah.
because it doesn't affect anyone, right, Mark? Because it's at the top and there's no accounts
Exactly.
at the top.
Exactly. Because when you click on that, you don't see any users there.
Right.
Right. They're all
Oh,
in the
guys.
staff OU. So click on that and do that right now. And
Guys, I got Google Admin certified a while back. I'm not really falling for your antics.
Yeah,
Okay.
just change the new tab screen, Chris. That's all you got to do, and then push favorites.
Actually, it would be a fun experiment. to
And
have
you push
Chris
favorites.
Yeah, and we
Chris,
push favorites.
set this now, and let's see if we can get the first complaint from somebody in your district before
Within
the show's
15?
over.
Yeah,
before the show's over.
I need to get out of this before something bad goes down.
Yeah.
And
All
no
right,
one
all right.
asked you to push favorites. You
No,
just
I did
decided
it
to go ahead and do that since you're on
because-
a roll.
Right, because they were saying they didn't know how to get the mail,
Yeah.
so I was solving the problem. I was
So-
solving the problem.
What, you push favorites? Like, you
Yeah.
think that everybody else should have all of your favorite pages?
Not my favorites.
And by doing so, did you hear the part that it pushed their favorites to the side?
Yeah, dude. There's district favorites all the way far left, and then if they already had some on the bookmark bar, they just got moved down a notch. I did have a principal gripe at me today that he had some that got kicked off the screen.
You need to. New Year, new Josh needs to take a look back at what was working in 2023.
Yeah.
It's working.
So the one other person that agreed with you for that.
You said it all quick at the beginning, and I thought like, oh yeah, whatever, I'm with you. Cool page. No, I'm not with you.
No.
You just need to
No.
need to do it, gentlemen.
No. There are many other decisions I would make before that.
Nah. Pate would do it.
Did you get more complaints about that than MFA? Oh,
Yes.
he's thinking.
Yes.
You got more.
In a shorter amount of time too.
Right.
Like the whole what was it? We gave like 4 months for MFA. I probably had 2 people really complain hard.
Right.
I've probably had 10 to 15 complain hard in the last day and a half.
Okay. New thing for tomorrow. Push this episode out.
No.
Time stamped to when we start talking about this, and push that out as the new page.
No.
Okay. All right then. Should we move on?
Yes.
I think you should draft an apology letter and push it out as the
No.
new-
I'll tell you why. After we stop recording, I'll tell you why that's not happening.
Oh.
Chris, why don't you talk about Extreme?
Extreme Networks, a proud sponsor of the K-12 Tech Talk podcast. Our good friend Dominic Mayer is the guy to reach out to at Extreme. dmayer@extremenetworks.com. I was telling Josh before we hit the record button, I got a bunch of 8-port Extreme switches. Got basically one for each of my guys. There's 3 of us. Got those configured and put into place so that we can not play around, but be able to test some things from our desk. And it is official. I have moved every switch in our district from HPE Aruba, HP, over to Extreme Networks since July. And I'm pretty excited about that. We still do Aruba stuff with wireless, though.
How can they email Dominic?
dmayer@extremenetworks.com.
All right, Mark, take over the main topic.
I mean, the main topic was going to be this, but I think it has just turned into Josh screws everybody's browser up.
Yeah, we should really just go
Screw
back to that.
anything. I didn't screw anything. It was a setting that was supposed to be set a year ago that, due to a misconfig, wasn't set, and I fixed it.
You know, I do have a follow-up question, if I may. Did you send out any kind of communication, or on that page, did you explain that page?
I mean, that is the communication.
No,
Congrats. Here's your new tab.
no.
Hashtag Josh.
It apparently was so bad yesterday. Like I said, I took off sick day yesterday. My guys were texting me.
Oh, wow,
Oh,
you were
did
sick.
it. You did it
Yeah.
on a sick day?
Well, I did it
That's as
before
bad.
the sick. I did it before the sick day, but the guys were dealing with it still yesterday afternoon. They're like, "Hey, people are really upset about this. You might need to change it back."
That's nearly as bad. I'm not thinking of his name right now, but the guy with the ransomware attack that had migraines didn't come into the office
Oh,
that
yeah.
we interviewed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys are one and the same.
Yeah. So the new tab setting and the smishing happened while I was sick.
Wow.
Wow, so you really rise up under pressure.
It's fine. It's fine.
Well, on a totally unrelated note, next week's special guest will be the school secretary from Josh's high school. To
Actually,
talk about.
she didn't complain about. I went over and she did not complain today when I saw her.
That would be great. Oh man, we do the
Yeah.
doorbell thing. Ding ding ding.
Oh, I could get yeah.
It's Josh's secretary.
All right. This is going on.
Door
This is
rings
a fan.
again. It's an elementary school teacher from Josh's school district.
Oh man. Josh did not expect this kind of reaction
Nah,
at
it's
all.
fine. It's fine.
All
It's fine.
right.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. So moving on. This is a little bit of a listener email, but it is our main topic because it's a really hard one. So this was on K-12 sysadmin. And the topic was, I'm going to try to read the name. This is actually the best part of referencing Reddit. Vorschlaghammer wanted to know, what do you guys do for infrequent but expensive projects? So in other words, he's asking, you've got these big projects that happen every so often, every 5, 6, 7 years. You're going to replace the network. You're going to replace interactive whiteboards. How do you do those projects? How do you plan for those projects so they don't cause a large shock to your budget?
Would you believe that's his first name?
Yeah, it's
Last- his-
Vorschlaghammer.
His last name is Smith. I think that's one of those things that if you can do parts and pieces at a time, refresh cycle wise, that helps if you can do it over a 2-3 year period. But some certain things you can't do that way. Wireless might be one of them. You might want to standardize on one footprint or one model of an access point. I think that's where communication and a relationship with your CFO or whoever holds the finances, and let them know, hey, 3 years from now, we're going to have this $250,000 project. Yeah, it'll be offset a little bit with E-rate, but our out of pocket could be upwards of, and then every year, okay, 2 years from now, hey,
Yeah.
just keep this in mind. This is still coming. That's I don't know of another way to do it.
Yeah, I give once a year a board report that details accomplishments and needs improvements coming up. And I always try to give like the big shot stuff a year or two warning, phone system, server refreshes, that stuff. There's just no way to go. And I also push as much as I can through E-rate, and that be just this thing that I planned out. But to try to give a heads up.
Couldn't find the mute button there. It's a hard one, and we go through that conversation quite a lot. Of, do you refresh this item all at once for everybody all at once, or do you spread it out across multi-years? I think there's no easy answer. The benefit of multi-year is maybe doing, if you're going to do classroom displays or networks, is then you've got smaller numbers every year. You can keep it on a constant refresh. Everybody gets to know their schedule. At least for my district, that's how we do network upgrades. We've got to keep our schools on a 5-year rotation. So every year, we know how many school networks we got to do. But other things like teacher laptops and student laptops, we do it all at once across the entire district. I always get the question, I feel like every time, why do we do this all at once? Why can't we just spread it out? One of the benefits, though, is that I have negotiation powers when you're doing everything all at once. And so negotiating for, the last time we did teacher laptops, we did 5,500 MacBooks. That's a big difference in negotiating than, doing 1,000 a year or, however many that is. From a budget perspective, though, one of the benefits that we've really been able to do or take advantage of is actually doing more of a lease purchase, where even though we are refreshing it all at once, our payments are spread out over 3 to 5 years. So I think my direct answer to that is, if you can spread your payments out, but do the swaps all at the same time, you can get the implementation done really quickly. You can keep everybody on the same version, on the same hardware. Teachers like that a whole lot more if the same board is used in every single classroom or same laptop. But if your payments can be spread out, your CFO will like that.
Yeah, like a dollar option buyout.
Yeah.
Chris,
What do
you
you
do that
guys
with
do?
Chromebooks, don't you?
Yes, we lease our Chromebooks, and we have those on a rotation. And I was going to say we do, and this was posted not related to this, but related on K-12 Tech Pro. It was asked about technology plans for your school district. In Missouri, those used to be required. They're not required by our state anymore. But I still do a technology plan, a 5-year plan, and then we have a 4-year rotation plan. And it is a plan that is board approved. So in there, it says on this year, we're going to evaluate servers, and on this year, we're going to evaluate our phone system. And you can look even at the rotation plan. It says like each building when we will take a look at printers and copiers, when we're going to take a look at interactive boards. Again, it's not setting in stone dollar amounts, but it is in theory, if anyone's actually reading, looking at the documents, and if I'm doing a good job communicating it, I'm giving some heads up about the big projects that are coming. My superintendent really likes leasing. He knows how much money about to expect every year, in particular with the one-to-one program.
Yeah, I think from the finance perspective, consistency of knowing what every year is going to be, and if those amounts are relatively stable, the finance folks really like that, or they really appreciate that, knowing what their costs are going to be next year and the year after.
I'm going to say a sentence that I hope my superintendent doesn't hear. We have slowly built up a budget line of tech fees and the big projects like firewall refresh, that kind of thing, looking at it with how much 3-year licensing is and how much what that maximum amount is. And that budget line is close to, if everything hit at once, how much it would all be. And then that lets me have extra. I don't want to say it's not really extra, but extra money so that these big projects coming up, there's actually money sitting in that pot to be used for these. And that was even before I came to the school district that I'm at now, increase along the way to get it built up as that.
Yeah. Do you find any like technical issues if you rotate or you replace things on a rotation? So let's say you're doing interactive whiteboards and you've got one school with, a 1-year-old interactive board and another school with a 5-year-old board. Are you finding any sort of technical issues with that?
I don't think we see technical. I think we see jealousy and bitterness in teachers. We've even had so we're in the middle of pulling Windows desktop. So before, there was a Windows desktop computer along with a teacher assigned Chromebook. So they had 2 devices. And we're moving towards, over these last several years, to a dock with a Windows laptop. So we're in our last year. So every campus has a Windows laptop except for one. They have an old desktop computer in the Chromebook. And there's always conversations about why are we last, and oh, you're taking our second device, because they've heard how it's going at the other place. Anything that could be negative, where you wish you could have just dipped it in one shot, kind of thing.
I have a suggestion. Change their new tab screen, and they'll forget.
I heard all the new interactive whiteboards are coming with a tab that opens up and it's Josh's face.
Yep.
Then nobody wants the new stuff.
Yep.
We do like I said, our teacher laptops are all on the same cycle. And I've gotten that question of like, well, what if we got off cycle and we only did, a portion every year? And my immediate response was, well, then you pick who's first and you pick who's last, because I am not making that decision. I am not going to be the one to tell a teacher, you're going to have to hold on to that one for a couple more years, and your colleague or your friend in another school is getting the brand new one. Not doing that.
Because I've even had where we have teachers that transfer. Well, the tech that is with you is with your class. It's not with you. So they left the school with the nice stuff because of how the rotation plan's hitting, and they went to the school that has the old stuff. And that hurts. That's a real thing.
Well, there was somebody in the comments, Erosion42, Reddit user Erosion42, who made some made a very, very long post with a lot of really good detail on what they are doing in their school district, and kind of talk about all the different technologies and how they replace them. So that's a really good post. There's also some great ideas on there around doing it per building and tracking the costs, 1, 3, 5 to 10 years out. And then, as always, there's always the annual versus capital budget. And I think I've found from talking with folks in other states that everybody does financing differently. We do have our annual budget, and I do have my capital budget, and I can kind of flex and move things from one place to the other if it applies. So I think that the short answer is you have to know what your district's finances are and how they work. And then decide what makes the most sense in terms of your refresh cycle, according to your budget availability in both annual and capital budgets. And that's it. That is the budgeting for infrequent but expensive projects post on Reddit. Excellent post on there. Really good comments, especially to the very long one from that.
Who was it again that posted that?
That was Vorschlaghammer Smith.
Yeah. He's slightly his brother is Goldenschlager Smith.
Right.
Yeah. Chris doesn't get it. Mark, I'm sure you get it.
There's a great post on r/teachers called "Hey, I need some advice. My tech director just posted a new tab. And every time I go, I have to read his autobiography and vacation photos to Alaska from this summer, and I don't know where to find Google. Can anybody help me find Google? Sincerely, Goldenschlager."
Full disclosure. Our PR person writes those articles, not me. Thank you.
Okay, man.
How's your PR person feel about the decision you made?
He has no complaints. He sits in the office next to me. There was a hey Josh, I hit new tab and the internet's coming up. Yeah. He goes, "Oh, okay." All it was.
I don't know.
Mark, you and I are battling this sickness right now. When was the last time you took NyQuil?
I don't know. I'm afraid of that stuff.
I took NyQuil the other night to try and get some sleep because I had a really bad sore throat. It gave me like hallucination type dreams. I was waking up every 30 minutes, and it wasn't like a someone's chasing me type dream. It was like a shock to the system type dream, like total weird. It was bizarre. So NyQuil, yeah.
Now that you say that, I took Advil like nighttime last night, and ooh,
really?
I had some dreams.
Yeah.
You guys are sick. We need to wrap this thing up.
All right.
I think so.
That was episode 149. If you have any questions on how to set the new tab screen in Chrome for your staff, let me know. I'll help you out.
You should write an article on that for K12 Tech
I will.
Pro.
That's a great idea. I'll write an article on K12 Tech Pro for that. Shoot us an email, k12techtalk@gmail.com. Show me some love for this new tab thing. If you have any questions or topic ideas you want us to talk about, shoot us over an email. We're on Twitter. We're on LinkedIn. YouTube. Yep. You'll be able to see the studio tonight when we get it uploaded. Let's see. K12 Tech Pro. Find us over there as well.
X.
We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
The views and opinions expressed on the K12 Tech Talk podcast are the personal opinions of Josh, Chris, and Mark, and do not represent the views or opinions of our sponsors or other organizations that we're affiliated with. The material and information presented here is for general information and entertainment purposes only. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.